Happy Monday and welcome to the Rick Helps Real Estate live stream where we discuss the latest Arizona numbers. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. I know I sure did. It was great. But it's going to change because let me show you what's coming up here. We have some weather coming, folks, and it is going to be brutal out there. Today we're going to have a high of 116, tomorrow 119. Look at this, 9% humidity. So when you see on the news and they tell you that this heat is going to be dangerous, take it seriously. It's that when you get up to 119, that's pretty dangerous. Drink water before you get thirsty. Take water with you in the car. If anything goes wrong with your car and you've had to pull over and you're broke down for a little bit, even a little bit, you can end up getting heat stroke. And the signs of heat stroke is your muscles kind of start cramping, and then you get a really severe headache. So be on the watch out for that. Help people where you can. It's going to be a rough week. It is always like this as we start approaching the 4th of July. We get our hottest in June. And then that high heat typically pulls the moisture up from the Gulf of Mexico, and we start getting into our monsoon season in July and August. And start getting some wicked thunderstorms, and it's a sight to behold. But hey, numbers, we're seeing a trend here, folks. We're going to do a deep dive in this. We have today for a Monday, ready for this? 5,698 listings. That's a high number for a Monday. We haven't been hitting over 5,000 on a Monday for months now. 7-day moving average, we had 4,321 homes come on the market and only 3,777 go under contract. That's a difference of 544. So let's take a look at what that looks like if I figure out which button I want to push here. So here it is. Remember the blue wave I was telling you about? This is what we want to see right there. Look at this. The contracts are coming down slightly, but the listings are increasing. According to the Cromford report, get rid of the weather here. Cromford report is saying new listings continue to arrive at a strong pace and supply is growing faster than we have seen since April 2020. Those who did not believe us when we said the market had started to cool in the second half of March most surely believe us now. This is a cooling akin to an Arizona summer that we just talked about, when 110 degrees feels quite a bit less toasty than 117 degrees, but it's still hot. The market is still hot. We need to understand that. Here's the weekly chart showing the under contract and contingencies, or without contingencies. Active counts are leading indicators to it, and it is tricky to predict where they will go. But the last 2 weeks suggest that more people are getting tempted by the high prices. And it says here that you're talking about 2005. I'm going to show you that chart in a minute. We grew massively from 9,000 units to 24,000 units between June and December. The key question is whether our counts in 2021 will follow a similar trajectory or increase at a more moderate pace. Nobody can accuse this market of being boring. What they're saying is that it's very clear now. Listings are coming on board. People are looking at the high prices and going, man, I don't want to miss this opportunity. I'm going to put my house on the market. More and more each week. Now, you've heard me say in the past, if you see inventory all of a sudden pop up to 7,000 units, then that's your signal. Get your house on the market. None of this is going to start hitting the news yet. None of this is, you're not going to see any articles that say the market is cooling, prices are dropping, because prices are not dropping. So even though we're seeing inventory start to come up just a little bit, it's not enough to affect prices. But it is an indicator and a trend that shows that mathematically, we may be able to approach a normal market by November. And this is something I touched on Friday and Saturday, that if you look at it mathematically and you just look at this difference of 500 units of homes under contracts less than the 500 units that come on, homes that come on the market, just do the math, extrapolate it out. By the time you get to November, we're sitting at 18 to 20,000 homes available for sale. That stops the bidding wars. It will have an impact on prices, but it will not have a crash impact. When you get to normal, that's not a crash. Now, if we go from this number that we're at now and we spike up incredibly high really fast, then yeah, we're going to have a problem. But right now, it's like he's saying, it's, this market is anything but boring. If we go back and look at the interactive chart here, and what he's referring to is 2005. And you look at where we're at right here. I mean, it's almost identical, right? Look at that bottom blue line. If we follow this path up here, we are looking at 23,754 homes on the market between November and December. If we go up slowly, that's possible. It's highly possible. If we spike up like we did in 2006, went up, we ended up way up here as far as listings. Look at that, 47,000 listings. We had 47,000. Think of that. We have 4,900 today, according to this chart, or 5,700 today. 49,000 before the big economic disaster. So there's potential. So that tells us that watching these numbers is what we want to do. We want to stay even closer to it because I've always felt a little boring. You come on and go, we had 4,000 come on and 4,000 come off. Remember, it's been that way week after week after week. And now finally we're seeing a breakout. Well, is it going to stick around? So now we're going to finally see some numbers that are telling a story, and we're going to be able to tell. And we're going to be able to tell if it's going quickly or if it's marching up ever so slowly, which is what we hope. Numbers like this are going to have bidding wars start to back off by September if they're on their current trend. Now, I can't predict what next year is going to be like. I'm never going to stick my neck out that way. But I am looking and saying, this is going to be interesting to watch. So if you are thinking of putting your house on the market, there's no panic time. You're not missing a short window of opportunity. And I can say, oh, if I didn't put it on in June, I missed out. You've got time. And in fact, you may have a lot of time. But there are numbers out there that are saying that things are starting to cool just a tad bit. So that's what your opportunity is. Now, what are interest rates doing? The Feds are meeting this week, and so the markets, there's always this saying, buy on rumor, sell on fact. So the markets are going to be watching to see if the Feds say that their talk of taper, in other words, their slowing down of buying mortgage-backed securities, is going to actually become more than just talk. They're going to be re-looking at the inflation data and trying to see that if inflation is here to stay or if it's temporary, and what are they going to be looking for. The markets are going to start building some of that in before the meeting. And it looks like they're doing that right now, but they're kind of staying steady. You can see here that yesterday you had a 30-year rate of 3.08, today 3.03. Now don't call your lender and go, Rick said I can get a 3.03. It all depends on your credit, your down payment, price of the home. So everything varies. So never look at a website and go, that's the rate, because these are rate surveys, folks. So it's not the real rate. It's close, but it's not the real rate. There's a survey out there, and I put it in the link below. Young adults underestimate the cost of home ownership. What they're saying is, we ask people what they think they can afford based on their current pay for monthly rent. They assume 10% down payment, 4% interest. Then we used a housing affordability calculator from bsmart.com. On average, people underestimated their buying potential by $78,000. In other words, they could afford way more than they thought they could. That's the good news. How much interest is owed? Most people don't look at that calculation. When you look at how much you're paying on a house over 30 years, it'll make your hair hurt. How much do home values increase? We asked people to estimate how much a home's value would increase over a decade at a rate of 4% per year. That's a national average. The answer is $144,000, or 48% of the initial value. Of those we surveyed, 62% underestimated the amount the value would increase. We're kind of estimating, we're built in right now where we view everything in the short term. Very few of us look and say, well, what's this going to be worth in 10 years? We don't sit back and look at that home we're buying because, we're just a few years out of that crash in 2008. So the whole prospect of buying a home makes us nervous. And so very few of us sit down and say, well, what has been the national average over the past 50 years? And it's been about 3.2 to 4%. Well, what does that mean on a home that you buy? Some other questions that they're looking at: can you define these terms? And in that article, they're going to say they've got appraisal, deed, assessment, principal, escrow, amortization. Regardless of some of the confusion, 83% of respondents say they are actively saving for a home right now, but high rents may be standing in their way from making any major progress. 71% say their rent is so high it's hard to accumulate savings for a home, and that is the problem. You want to buy a home, but you can't seem to put money in the bank because your rent's so high, and then while you're saving, the price of the homes start to escalate. Eventually, the markets return to the means. We just don't know when that's going to happen. End of this month, the rent moratorium is supposed to end. There's always a judge that comes in and changes people's minds, but we're going to see what happens when that is that going to free up a lot of rentals? I don't think so. We're not that. I think there's only 7% of renters are behind here in Arizona. Was it 7 or 14? I can't remember. Not a large enough number to move the bar. Cody says, my car feels like an oven coming back from the store. I don't know how you guys get used to it or wear jeans. I've been here since 96, Cody. I am not used to it. Jeans, they are in the closet and they're staying there. I don't know. I see people going for a walk wearing hoodies or a stocking cap. I don't get it. Now, on the flip side, when we get to 70 degrees, I see people wearing down coats. Those are the locals. They're freezing to death. This is a very interesting area to watch people when the weather gets really, really hot. I have a remote starter on my truck. So I start the truck as soon as I'm within range and it kicks the air conditioning on. That helps a tiny bit. And you have to get those window shades that you put up so that the sun isn't beating in. And that helps just a tiny bit. Cody also says, looking at putting an offer on this house today, any info you can provide about the area? I reserve that to your agent. If he's working up there, he can probably give you more of an insight than I can. I'd hate to jump in and kind of step on him. So I can look it up. I can kind of give you a feel, but I like Peoria. I can tell you that. I think it's great, especially in its proximity to other areas of recreation, such as Camp Verde and Sedona and Flagstaff. Pretty easy to get there from where you're at, and Lake Pleasant as well. Although I can't see anybody playing at Lake Pleasant tomorrow when it's 116. You will fry like bacon. So that's going to be tough. So everybody have a fantastic Monday. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And please, please, please drink tons of water and stay safe and be aware of how hot it's going to be. Don't want anybody getting heat stroke out there. Have a great day.